Hello and welcome to the Boost Over Ball podcast, your go-to place for everything Rocket League with your hosts, K-Cube, AJ Binky, and Red. So lean forward, lock in, and get ready to go Boost Over Ball.
Everybody's camera looks really good on stream.
4K stream today.
Big wins.
I like the range in colors. You got Quilly's got purple, I got red, and then K-Cube's just like
Natural.
natural.
Regular light bulb.
Well, because there's
Basement.
like basement. Well, because I have like there's a really big like key light right here. There's a key light that points at all of the jerseys.
Oh.
And there's I have one of those like garage overhead lights like just above where you can't see. So, but here we go. Everybody ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
To listeners new and old, hello and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're back with the Boost Over Ball podcast. I'm Kyle, K-Cube. In the top right this time I have Quilly, and in the bottom middle we have Red. What's up?
Yo.
It's almost like
Turns
I've
out
done.
K-Cube wasn't ready.
Yeah, it's almost like I haven't done this intro
Shifted.
150 times now.
Made
Yeah.
me feel old.
Well, here we are. But this is our 150th episode, so that's exciting. We'll hit, we'll still be in the 150s during Raleigh, I believe. So, as we quickly barrel towards that. But today we'll be talking about the completion of Open number 5 for SSA, OCE, MENA, and NA. We also now have the top 16 teams that are making Open number 5 for APAC, SAM, and EU. And we will finish off with the new segment, ranking made-up or mythical Rocket League players. You'll just have to wait till the end to find out more about that one. That should be quite interesting. We were in our bag a little bit thinking of some of these. So hopefully you guys enjoy that segment. But, we'll similar to last week, we'll kind of go through some of these regions rather quickly because there's not really a whole lot to talk about. First up, Sub-Saharan Africa, teams making the top 8. First through the upper bracket, we have Foot Esports, 77 Blocks, Limitless, and Cristobal Cologne. And through the lowers, we have Labosh, Pony no Jutsu, Cosmico Esports, and Pomino's Ditza. Our top 4, Limitless Limitless loses to 77 Blocks in Game 7, and Foot beats Cristobal Cologne 4-0. Foot then sweeps 77 Blocks in the grand finals to complete the perfect regional. They did not drop a single game. They have also now secured, due to the Limitless placing top 4 and not top 2, Foot have now secured their spot at Raleigh and at the World Championships in Lyon. And it is now officially their region. And last but certainly not least for this one, 4 of the top 8 teams all had SSA representation. So that's exciting. That's the most we've seen in quite a while. So what did you guys think about SSA? Or, is it really more just what we expected?
I mean, more what we expected. I think we all predicted Foot to come out top. Getting a perfect regional is kind of insane. Definitely would have predicted that one, but
They did better than
Yeah,
NRG.
this is true. This is true.
By one game.
by one game. But props to Foot for securing Raleigh and Worlds before you even need Open 6. Pretty huge. Limitless going down to 77 Blocks in Game 7 is kind of wild. Like, I would have felt like Limitless was on the come up of preparing for trying to compete for this spot, and it just seems like they weren't quite ready.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, Foot just keeps dominating. Obviously nothing's going to be changing anytime soon. So Operation Jersey Swap at Raleigh is a full-time go.
It's a go.
We gotta work on letting Armada bring us jerseys. It's a work in progress.
do you think that it would be like, we'll talk about Foot, but we'll talk like personally, do you think it would be hard to lock in for that Open number 6, knowing that you've already secured your spot at the major, secured your spot at Worlds? So like I say all you're playing for, but like realistically, all you're playing for is like just the prize money and like the fact that you could say we swept the entire season of regionals. Because like
Based off how
first place is just under $5,000.
Based off how Harmonic talks, that's all he wants to do is keep sweeping the region. So I don't expect any less from them.
Yeah, I think they'll do just fine. If this was like NRG, I would have raised some questions. They like to sleep when it doesn't really count. So, but with Foot, especially Harmonic at the helm, they very much I think will continue pedal to the metal. We should see close to a perfect regional again to complete the full sweep of regionals.
Yeah, and I'd also like to add, Harmonic came into our server and was talking about how he almost had a heart attack during the series. He almost had a heart attack in a 4-0 sweep. Like, there's not a single thing that they're stressing as a team. Taking it very seriously. He was stressing just not dropping a singular game. They got nothing to worry about. Should be fine. Worst case scenario, they might drop a game or two.
Yeah, not really a whole lot to build upon there as not dropping a single game, but congratulations to them, and hopefully they're able to keep it up for the last regional, even though all they have to play for is pride and money. So next up, OCE. Teams making the top 8. Wild card, I'm Fine in the West, Power, and TSM all through uppers. And through the lower bracket, we have Scrimsworld, Retired, Chiefs, and Tsunari. Our top 4, we have Power sweeping I'm Fine in the West, and we have Wildcard taking down TSM 4-1, which then sets up yet another Wildcard Power matchup in the grand finals in which Wildcard is able to win in 7. So that's 3 in a row for Wildcard, dating back to last split. That is also 4 out of the possible 5 regional wins so far in OCE for Power, and they have clinched their world spot. What did you think about OCE? What did you think about I said Power. I meant Wildcard. What did you think of Wildcard's performance? Do you still think that they were adequately placed in our world power rankings?
Until we see international play, I still think they're adequately placed. However, it's a good sign to see Wildcard being more the kind of the dominant top team. Also with Power starting to kind of jump out to a lead here. Although it is very close for that second seed, right? You got Power in second with 20, Chiefs with 18, and TSM with 16. So it's really going to come down to just who draws Wildcard first. Whoever does loses. So props to Wildcard for kind of getting their poop in a group and looking like the dominant number 1 seed again. I am curious to see who number 2 ends up being. I'm putting money on Power right now just from their current performance, but again, it's kind of just who gets unlucky and draws Wildcard early in that final playoff stage. Yeah,
you also kind of just like if you're Wildcard, you hate to see APAC coming. So hopefully for their sake, they can try to avoid Luminosity. Okay. Yeah, Cooley.
Wildcard still dominates, but as we saw on the biggest stage, 0-3. So until we got to see results there before we start believing in OC.
Yeah, there's certainly a long way to go before we get to that point. Last up, before we get to NA, we have MENA. This is a little bit different of a regional than what we're used to seeing in MENA. As our top 8 through uppers are Falcons, Al Qadsaya, ROC Esports, and Off. Through the lower bracket, we have Twisted Minds, who lost in the upper semifinals to Off. We have The Vicious, Team Vision, and Sleeping. Even though they're in lowers, they still make their way to the top 4, but Twisted Minds fall in 7 to ROC Esports, and Falcons are able to take down Vision 4-1, and Falcons then sweep ROC in the finals to round out this major. But I would like to point off that Off is the roster of Hatem, Vampire, and VFBI. And ROC is Twiz, Abdullah, and Ghazi. So, not exactly, and no offense to them, not exactly world beaters, especially compared to the players that Twisted Minds brought in Rise and Atomic. But I am intrigued to see how they can bounce back in an open 6, and I am very confused as to what happened. What do you guys think?
Well, just looking at it, I mean, the series with Oth. Oh, so sorry. Looking at this series, right? You know, Twisted Mind don't even make it to upper bracket quarters. They have to work their way through lowers all the way, and then you lose to get set in 7 to Rock. But mind you, you not only lose that, you get reversed swept in 7. You go up 3-0, pretty dominant games. You're 2-1, 2-1, 3-0. You get that 3-0 after the opponent takes the timeout. This should be, wraps. Big win after an opponent's timeout. Timeout buff gone. You should think you should be able to handle business. You lose a 1-0 close game. Okay, whatever. But then you lose 3-2 OT. Oh, that's a little rough. Take out timeout. And then I guess just timeouts worked differently in this series because as soon as they took the timeout, it got worse. Twisted Minds then goes on to lose 3-1 and 2-0. I didn't get to watch the series, so I can't really tell what exactly happened. But definitely not great. If you're a Twisted Minds fan, looking for them getting ready to go to Raleigh because it's pretty much assumed that they're going to be the 2 seed coming out of MENA. And looking points wise, they're the only ones that really have they have a pretty good leg up. But that is not a thing you really want to see going into the final open, especially. I mean, they technically, Twisted Minds only has a 6-point lead on now Alcatzaya, Rock, Esports, and Team Vision. So it is possible they don't make it, but it's kind of expected that they at least make a top 4 here, which would pretty much secure it unless Alcatzaya, Rock, or Vision decide to go do something crazy and do a Gen G, win it all. So hopefully this is just a bit of a speed bump for Twisted Minds and they kind of get back in the groove of things, but definitely a very surprising result for MENA.
Yeah, I think maybe Twisted Minds taking their foot off the gas and got a little too lackadaisical with it, and or maybe as we saw by what happened in Birmingham, that Nupo is could be a little bit of a hothead. Maybe ego got ahead of him. Rise, a big personality in RLCS, so maybe could be some trouble in paradise going on over there. But assumingly, this could also just be a huge wake up call for them, and they lock in for Open 6, and they just dominate and take care of business. Either they're going to do horribly in the next split, or I think they're going to beat Falcons to the grand finals. No in between.
Interesting. Okay. Well, last but certainly not least, and probably the region and the thing we will spend the most time on this episode is NA Open number 5. So our teams making the top 8 through upper bracket are NRG, Team Evo, Space Station Gaming, and the boys. And teams making the top 8 through the lower bracket are Schnitzel House, Strictly Business, The Ultimates, and Gen G. So we talked about the top 8. Let's talk about, let's go back a little bit in time. We'll talk about Swiss a little bit. We'll talk about the bracket a little bit, and we'll kind of go from there. So, we talked about our top 16 in the Swiss before. We talked about how some of that impacted the seeding, but are the boys a team that you expected to see qualifying through the upper bracket first and foremost in Group A?
With the names on that roster, I don't think it's too surprised. It was definitely a surprise, but I don't think it's as crazy a surprise as some will say. You have Evo, Percy, Aqua. These are all players that have been floating around the pro scene for quite a while. They've just kind of been in and out of rosters, very very similar rosters that we've seen with like Omelets. Big one I've seen. Any team that comes on Comtech or Talk. Those level of teams where they're just on that edge of being one of the like top 6 teams in NA. So this was a little surprising, but they finally just kind of beat that status quo of just being top 8 or so, and kind of broke that bubble of making a push. And did they make a hell of a push? I mean, the boys looked fantastic going into NA Open 5 and going into the playoffs. I mean, props to them, and they have successfully made the race for the final spots for Raleigh way more interesting.
Yes, they did. I'd like to add that I think the middle of the pack for NA is kind of scuffed. I think a lot of the matchups that we had for this bracket was also very scuffed on both sides. So it was a huge opportunity for like a lot of like these miracle runs out of a lot of teams, because the top 8 making it through, especially the lower bracket and the uppers bracket, team names that you aren't really seeing there often. But yeah, I think based off the matchups that we had this weekend, and also an unlucky situation that we'll talk about later, I think it made for more of the dramatics and more of these opportunities for people to showcase what they can do, being on one of the lesser known teams and a non-org team.
Yeah, for sure. Talking about, names that we do know, NRG taking care of business, taking down SimTalk, taking down Gen G in 4 to qualify. From Group A, I think Gen G is better than Pirates on a Boat, but Poeb taking down Shopify, a little bit crazy after Shopify getting swept by the boys, and I think that their season is over. Deleted Gaming falling to Schnitzel House. I also think deleted season is over. Moving on to Group B. We'll talk about this upper part first before we get to the bottom part, but Space Station making quick work of Bubble Sort and then taking down Complexity in 5. I thought that they were the better team in that series, and I think that they played fantastically against Complexity, even with Frosty playing against his own team buff, his old team buff. Quilly, what do you think about Space Station's run through their groups?
I enjoyed all of it until the very end. It was a great time. The boys looked amazing. I think I said it last week how confident I felt in this team, and they dominated. And that's what they should have been doing. This new look team, I think, is great. They complement each other well. I don't think Frosty had that demo mindset that Kofor has. Me and Red were watching in the thing, and all you see is Kofor being a little weasel and just chasing after whoever was back, whether it's the third man on offense or the back or the last man defending. He was chasing him and getting the demos. Set a record with most demos per game in RLCS. It was over 8 per game, I believe the average.
I don't know the final stat, but going into the grand finals, it was 8.11, which the record was 7.12.
You know,
they were a whole game
at Com.
It was LG. The old LG roster of Reynolds Magic Cheese held the average demos per game record.
Oh, it's a team stat.
Yeah, it was a team stat.
Okay.
As a team, they were averaging a executioner between all 3 of them a game.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's what led to a lot of their goals. It was led to a lot of their defense or their dominance. They do that. They take you out, and then they'll find the net because you're just unmatched, mismatched in manpower at that point. But yeah, that I think Kofor on the team complements that very well, as long as they're not going against NRG in the finals.
Okay, time for the shenanigans that happened here. We have Evo taking down SOS and then facing off in the upper bracket semifinals against Little Step Bros, because the Ultimates had to forfeit their first round match to Little Step Bros because LJ's power went out.
And their sub was not around. He was actually in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Who is their sub? Is it just Sad? It's not Sad. Sad Junior wouldn't.
No,
it is.
The coach can play.
It is El Omar Maton is the name of the player.
If he played in that first round, would he have to play in the ones after that?
I don't believe so.
No, they can sub him back out.
But
he would have to play for the whole series.
1 week. He picked the 1 week to go to Vegas. Is the 1 week that LJ's power decided to shut out.
So LJ took his computer to an internet cafe near him and was able to play out their lower bracket matches, but he could not do it in time, and they ultimately had to forfeit their first round matchup, which sent Little Step Bros to the upper bracket semifinals, and they were 1 goal away from qualifying into top 6 through the upper bracket. That was unironically a fantastic series. Like it was super close. It was very hotly contested. T. Carell was doing T. Carell things.
Yeah, it was a great series.
The teammates of Alpha Cap really raised their stock with this series. They were killing it. And I kept saying it. Alpha Cap was getting backpacked so hard. He's purely there for the clout. But his dude Gut and the other one were killing the game, especially on the offensive side. Crazy doubles they were pulling off, but they were so close to playing on Sunday.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that set them apart from Team Evo there was, especially when they got to that one game off, you were one game from making top 6 for the first time ever in your career. Like a huge, stat line there. The nerves. You could really tell game 4, game 5, the nerves were a huge factor. I mean, you could see it watching Alpha Cap stream. The nerves were causing misplays. They were causing mistouches. The aggression wasn't really there anymore, and it ended up being their downfall as they quickly fall from being one game away from top 6 to not even making top 8.
Yeah, as they drop to strictly business 3-1, and then that sets up maybe one of the craziest matchups on the day. That's Complexity and Ultimates for the final top 8 spot, and then the loser being 12th to 16th. So the Ultimates are able to take down Complexity in Game 5. That was a super close Game 5 after Ultimates opened it up 7-2 in Game 4. I just kind of figured, it's like this is going to be a rout now. But props to Complexity for fighting back into that, and Ultimate squeak into top 8. But that is as far as the road takes them, as they drop to Genji in 6 in lower 1. And really, we can talk about the fact that Genji drops to the boys in lower quarterfinals, which is probably best case scenario for Space Station. But realistically, if you're going to talk about the playoff bracket, you have to talk about Energy. They sweep Evo, they sweep the boys, they sweep Space Station. They looked incredible. They really only lost they only dropped one game to Genji in their entire run through the group and playoff brackets. So, Red, you want to talk to us a little bit about what you saw from NRG?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I think clicked and changed for this team was just the absolute aggression they had. I mean, NRG normally has a different aggression to them, where it's a very counterattack heavy. We're gonna take a couple punches, then make you pay with a great 1-2-3 passing play or a solo play that leads into a free net. But this was a different level. There was a far more bumps and demos by the NRG squad, which apparently that seemed to be the tale for success for this NA Open. Was if you knew how to incorporate good bumps and demos in your playstyle, you were going to end up getting the win. Just absolute dominance over Team Evo, winning 3-2, 4-1, 4-2, 3-1. Dominating the boys 2-0, 2-0, 4-3, and then 3-2. Even with the OT games, it never really seemed like NRG was on the back foot, which is a crazy thing to say when you're tied with a team. But
they came back in both of those games.
Yeah. They go down 1-0, and then just something clicked for them. It was great to see the kind of old energy back. This is the same kind of play style and roster we saw at previous Worlds. So I'm glad to see them back in form, especially after some not so great showings as of late when it comes to Birmingham and it comes to facing against Ultimates. I think one thing as well is they missed Ultimates on this time around, which is always a great thing, I think, for Energy, because they seem to kind of have that play style that really kind of counters what they're trying to go for. Knowing this, they'll probably draw Ultimates in top 6 again for Open 6, just how it be. But Energy looked completely locked in. There was a joke made earlier that I think Garrett posted about it, where the whole NRG squad had their face cams on, and before even the day started, Garrett tweeted, was like, the whole team has their face cams on, they're not dropping a game. he was in fact correct. They did not drop a game. So maybe it's the face cam buff. Maybe it's just they're starting to get a little more confident with how they want to play against these teams. I'm really hoping that it can translate to international play because, as we've seen, you can be a powerhouse in regional play, but it means nothing when it comes to facing the other region. But glad to see that from the boys securing Raleigh and securing Worlds. So we'll just have to wait and see how the rest play out.
Yeah. Must be nice.
That was the next point I was going to bring up. Space Station sweeps the boys 4-0, sweeps Strictly Business 4-0, and ultimately runs into NRG the Buzzsaw. But, up until, and even still, right, like in the grand final, like it was, 3-1, 3-2, 3-0, 6-2. So for the first part of that series, they put up a good fight. They looked pretty good. Quilly, what did you think of the SSG run, up until it tragically ended there at the end?
Yeah, I said it last week. They're beating the teams that they should be, and they're doing it dominantly, not like let it be close series. And they did it again this weekend, taking down Frosty. I think that was a huge stepping stone for us because last time we faced them, we got dominated. SSG got dominated straight up by Complexity in the first matchup, but this time around, luck has changed and the tides have turned. I think the nerves are now gone, and SSG knows that they're a better team, and they dominated, and they continued to dominate. I do think they did get a little bit lucky in the matchups. They are definitely inferior teams, but like I said, they weren't close series score-wise for outcomes for them. Usually, like previously with Frosty, they were closer than they should have been, including losing and not even making the main event one of the times. So this team, they look and feel different, and it's a whole different confidence from this team until they verse NRG in the finals, and it was rough.
It was a fun time watching it with Quilly.
It was definitely a time. I don't know if I'd say it was a fun time.
Oh, I thought it was great.
Well, with NRG and Space Station making the finals, with NRG winning, winning Open 5, they have clinched their spot at in Raleigh. But with kind of the, I hate to say it, but with the mid-off that's happening for the rest of the spots in NA, Space Station Gaming can clinch their spot with a top 8 or better. Gen G clinches with a 5th through 6th or better. Complexity, Strictly Business, The Boys, The Ultimates, Team Evo, 9 Lives, Deleted Gaming, and Shopify Rebellion can clinch a Raleigh spot with a regional win. And Schnitzelhaus clinches at least a tiebreaker with a regional win. So there are 11 teams that control their own fate for the Raleigh major qualification in Open number 6. So certainly everything to play for these teams, and a lot to watch for as an RLCS fan and an RLCS viewer. Anything else that you guys want to talk about with NA before we continue on with our Open qualifiers that have happened?
Please don't choke again, SSG, for the love of God, please.
So they clinch with the top 8, but they don't necessarily need to finish top 8 to get a place. It just depends on other placings.
Well, let's just get top 8, and let's just win the thing. No questions asked.
Yeah,
just do the damn thing.
The biggest thing that we can take away from this entire regional so far has been that group stage matters a lot. Ultimates, they have one bad series where LJ can't play because internet happens, and that leads them to facing Complexity in lower bracket semis, then to immediately pulling Gen G in lower bracket round 1 and losing to a currently pretty hot Gen G roster. I mean, it went downhill from that first FF, and it just kind of shows how important it is to win those early series. So I'm sure Ultimates will be kind of chomping at the bit for Open 6, trying to make their mark and get back into the groove of things. And I'm sure LJ will be really taking note of his internet provider here before going into the next series.
So I'd also like to point out, lastly, before we move on, Gen G are now 12 points behind the Ultimates in total full season point standings. Space Station is 20 points behind the Ultimates in full points standings. So a good performance from Gen.G and Space Station, another, crash out from Ultimates. You could potentially see them lose out on their world spot. I don't think it's likely, but it could happen.
Yeah,
So
I think Worlds the biggest question marks right now is just going to be that 4 seed, right? Ultimates are 12 clear Gen.G are 8 clear of Space Station and 10 clear of a complexity roster. That will be the kind of the fun thing to watch going into this. Will be obviously, I think 9 Lives, Team Evo deleted. They're pretty much out of it at this point for Worlds. So it's just going to come down to those 5, and I think we're going to see a whole lot of drama when it comes to complexity Space Station, especially if they get matched up at all in group stage and or playoff stage, which I think it will happen. I have a guess. It will probably happen.
Probably. But now jumping around a little bit, we'll head over to APAC. We now know the teams that have made the top 16. That's Luminosity Gaming, Koi, DreamStation, Godspeed, Kinotrope, Verstappen, Prex, Habitus, Rounds, Jungle Juicers, Can't Believe Admins Changed Our Name, Blue Torch, Zen Esports, Real Adrenaline, Senza Esports, Winter Soldiers, Animated Dragons. So first and foremost, best name?
I mean, obviously, it's the admin.
Yeah, it was so good they had to change it.
Can't believe admins changed our name. Good lord.
What was their name originally?
I don't know. The admins changed it.
Yeah, the world may never know.
I mean, if it wasn't for that one, it would be
Max Verstappen.
I don't know why they didn't add Max, just for stopping.
Just for stopping, yeah. Probably ran out of character limit. Well, although no, they did run a character limit because it's Can't Believe admins changed their name. That's like the longest name in our LCS history.
Who knows?
Could you imagine that team made Raleigh now just?
They're just gonna start calling them like
CB8 CEO
C Bacon. C Bacon. It'll be C Bacon.
What
kind of a fire name? Not gonna lie.
Speaking of Bacon, we'll get back to Bacon once we hit EU. But realistically, the only question I really have to ask about APAC is it anybody but Luminosity?
No.
Yeah, well, they secure Worlds with a win in this Open. I don't really expect anything less. They will most likely be your Raleigh team and your Worlds team. So good luck to everyone else. Sam, teams making the top 16. We have Moonrise, Secret, Amethyst, who beat Furia and Swiss, Corinthians, Furia, TBS Esports, Team Reds, Latino Heat, Godfidence, Overlooked, Genesis, Gracia, Fear of God, and Papa de Fisao, True Neutral Black, and TDL. Best name? I know what Reds is. Quilly, you got a favorite?
Trying to decide.
I feel like you can't go wrong with Godfidence. Papo's good. Fair.
Papa loves Mambo.
I'm still a Latino Heat fan, but Furia going 3-1 in Swiss, losing to Amethyst. Do they come back with a vengeance in group stage? Did Lost fix his internet? These are the things that we need to find out.
No.
The question I have, Quilly, do you think Secret can repeat?
No.
Okay. Red, do you think Secret can repeat?
As long as Lost internet doesn't die, absolutely not.
I was gonna say it depends on the status of that second question.
I wanted to go back and check. I wanted to go back and check and see if Lost actually did call his internet service provider, because we talked about his tweet the last time. Although he posted on May 11th, so 2 days ago, him with his computer monitor right in front of a nice window with a good view. But we shall see. We shall see what happens. As he did in fact respond to his internet service provider. If you're kidding, I've already been a different internet provider. So it looks like he's kind of
No.
figured it out, but
Oh,
we shall figure it out.
I got scared there for a second.
You cut out for a little bit. You did freeze for like a good 2 seconds.
Yeah.
That was scary. I just got PTSD.
But yeah, as long as Lost Internet is good to go, Fury in 5.
I think 5 is being generous. Fury in 4.
Lakers in 5.
Lakers in Cancun.
Yeah. Okay. And then last but certainly not least, we have EU. Our team's making the top 16 to nobody's surprise. Carmine Corps, Vitality, Gentle Mates, Dignitas, Ninjas in Pajamas, GK Esports, Synergy, Fast Forward, Barbarito Bandito, 100%, Team BSK, Caliente, Chippy's Chips. Here's the throwback to Bacon, Smoky Bacon Association, $ATM, and Dopamine. So, I mean, it's so hard to compete with Smoky Bacon Association, but I gotta be honest, Barbarito Bandito is kind of fun to say. I don't know if it's my favorite, it's just fun to say, though.
Yeah, I mean, you got Barbarito Bandito, Chippy Chips, Smoky Bacon Association. I mean, it's just too good.
Yeah.
Valid shouts. Can't go wrong with any of them.
Smoky Bacon Association still has to take it, though. That's so good.
They also have the best logo, so.
Yeah.
And we can't leave out the cursed hand though.
But yeah, the cursed hand still always just
Yeah.
like
So, K-Dop, another main event. Back to back.
He's back.
Realistically, and I never really thought I'd be saying this, but is it anybody other than KC?
No, it's not Open 6 yet. Open 6, I may say something differently, but it's still KC. Especially since NRG went 3-1 in Open 5 and then just murdered everybody. I think we're going to see a very similar stat of KC going 3-1, proceeds to murder everybody.
Yeah, and the revenge tour.
The revenge tour. I will say this was the open for the old heads to make it
Alpha Cap.
Yeah.
K-Dop Astral Reese Fox making it on Team Dopamine. You had Sizen coming back on Caliente. Acronics back with $ATM. I mean, this is Lewis P. Acro Resi on 100% making it back again. You got AJG Dorito Rezex. I mean, this is a very noteworthy top 16. So it would be nice to see some old names come back. At the end of the day, it is just the top 6, a very, 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 very large canyon, and then everyone else.
So
one gas main event away from the most top 16 on both NA and EU of all time.
How old is Astral? How old do you think Astral is? Don't look it up. I looked it up. I know what the answer is.
For some reason, I want to say he's in his 30s.
It's wild. No. Okay, wait. Nah. If he's old for RLCS, he's younger than me. I'm gonna say 21.
22. That was extremely close. K-Dop. K-Dop.
36.
K-Dop, 50 retired, 3 kids. No, K-Dop, like realistically, K-Dop's probably
24.
No, he's older. He's been around like season 6, right? He's been around for a while. Give him up 25.
26.
So you're telling me I have a chance.
And then Reese Fox.
Oh God, I know very little about Reese Fox. Reese Fox is probably still somewhat of a young gun, right?
He is indeed.
He's somewhat new. Is he that new that I just haven't heard of him? Maybe because he was kind of like an up and coming rookie, sort of. I'm gonna go like 17.
He is 17. That was impressive.
Yeah, I know ball. I know ball and players' ages.
Apparently, yeah. Matane, I believe, is one of the oldest. Smoky Bacon Association. Rizex is all. They're both 23. But yeah, no one's touching Alpha Caps 27. Just saying.
Yeah, that's close, but I think the accolades there are a little different, just a little different.
Yeah, a little bit. But with that, do we want to talk about where you sitting on your flight, or do we want to save that for a later episode?
We could talk about it. I don't mind.
Huh?
We talk about it now, or we save it before Raleigh?
Are we doxing our flights?
No,
No,
like
no,
where
no,
the tweet that we talked about in the RLCS discussion.
This thing, really. The one thing where you're
Because this could be an entire episode of after RLCS is over before Raleigh.
I think we need to like prepare that one more, like, because we'll need to put it on stream and show everybody.
Good call.
Yeah,
I just gotta ask, what's going on with number 8? Why is that pairing?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Is MonkeyMoon got Riz? Is that what
It's MonkeyMoon got.
Also, who did Alpha Cap so dirty with the huge neck?
It's Alpha Neck. Well, Zen and Alpha both have
and wait, fucking Rise as well.
Yeah,
poor guy.
I just realized sitting next in seat 6 must make your brain hurt.
Yeah, probably.
The most
and Farah, like, oh my god, you're gonna feel so dumb.
If you only like the mechanics of Rocket League, that's your seat. If you're here for the nuances and the small details of rotations, it's right there.
Yeah, but so for people who are unfamiliar with what we're talking about, Wavepunk tweeted, you have a 10-hour flight, where are you sitting? And there are 10 different seat options, all of with RLCS players, coaches, casters, or, people who have been in the scene before. I don't know what you call Rizzo now. Retired pro doesn't really do our Rocket League very much, but so we will dedicate most of an episode to this. But we retweeted it. Go show some love to Wavepunk on that one. That's a pretty good tweet. But without stealing too much content from ourselves, we are now going to jump into our last section for today, and that is made up or mythical Rocket League player rankings. So we've thought of a few of them on here, and please feel free to tell us the ones that we've missed. Please feel free to add us on Twitter, especially Quilly, and tell everyone about your favorite mythological Rocket League player. So our first ideas were 0 Second Justin. Like, if you could have a player that was 0 Second Justin all the time. Job security Radosin. We know how well that worked for him. Swiss Jorias. The Swiss merchant with
M80 Swiss Jorias.
Yep. The
finals
made famous by CJ, the Scrim Bear. So those were just a couple of our ideas. We have a list here. It also includes Dickies Arena MonkeyMoon, as he is undefeated at World Championships at Dickies Arena. We have NA Zen, goalie Gibbs, sub Kranovi, 13-year-old Scrub Killa, facing relegation JNAPS, round 5 Rettles, the flu game Arsenal, DreamHack Chaussette, ceiling shot a lot, and most notably Foam Hat Jacob. So I guess, Red, you can go first. Do you have a favorite of the list? Do you have someone that you're like, you know what, this man's gotta be on my team? That would be peak.
So I'll go 3 things here. Favorite, number 1, and then worst on the list.
I think that's a good one. Okay.
Favorite, I think my easily the favorite, I think, in my opinion. See here, I'm gonna base this off of skill, but also like the player. I think just for nostalgia, and back in the day, Ceiling a lot, just the niche skill set of only being on the ceiling.
He's like the only person that was on the ceiling. He's like the only person who even knew that it was there.
That was, a lot of nostalgia there with that player back then. number one on the list, I feel like is still I'm like stuck between Dickies Arena, MonkeyMoon, and NA Zen here. Because those are two very similar in skill level of like the clutch factors there, just being in the moment and just being that player. I think NA Zen probably takes it over. Just the dominance we saw when Zen turned in North America.
I mean, but I did hear that the Scrim Bear was moving different. So
I mean, the Scrim Bear was moving different, but Zen literally changed nationality, so that's moving pretty different.
Fair.
And then the worst on the list, I'm sorry, Gibbs, but you know, it may have worked in season 1. It ain't working anytime else. Goalie Gibbs at the bottom.
Okay. Billy, you want to go second, or you want me to go second?
Feeling kind of similar with the NA Zen. That was pretty much my first experience in the RLCS scene, was experiencing NA Zen. So it's a tie between that and the OG of all OGs, 0 Second Justin, the most infamous shot in Rocket League history. Nothing tops that shot. It literally, there's an entire quick chat in the game from that moment. And last place for me, job security Radosin. I will never believe in Rado in my life.
The hate runs deep. That's crazy.
It shifts between players. It started out abject and moved to Reddles, and now we're on to Rado. Rado, except it's hard on Rado.
He is a Rado hater. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. But this is a tougher one. Like, if for favorite, I also think I have to go ceiling a lot, just because he was one of the players that I tried to imitate back in the day and just could never do it because, like, I didn't know how to aerial at that point. So that was like half of the issue. But just for nostalgia purposes, also you gotta go with the Airbus. DreamHack Chaussette was different. That PSG team was awesome. Farah, Chaussette.
Bring back DreamHacks, man. I miss DreamHack.
Man. But in terms of being on your team, I mean, 13-year-old Scrub Killer was built different. And the vibes, all-time high.
This is true.
That, or I'll be different and I'll go Swiss Jorias. Because I can guarantee you a 3-0 sweep only in Swiss, but that doesn't matter. In Swiss.
You just gotta get Jorias to pretend it's Swiss the entire time.
Jorias is still Friday. It's still Friday, bud.
Team Swiss.
It's still Friday, bud. You're fine.
Change the clock. Change the date time on his phone. Still Friday.
Yeah, but please, like I said, if we miss anybody, please let us know. I thought that would be an interesting topic to do. I know it's been a Reddit thread. I know Chalked Cast has talked about it before. I'm sure a lot of people have thought about this, but you know, if you liked talking about this, if you want to give us some more ideas, maybe we make a full team of like an all-star team of mythical Rocket League players. I think that could also be fun. You know, we're quickly barreling towards Raleigh and then towards Worlds, so we'll have a lot of downtime in between those and in between, you know, before the start of the next season. So certainly a lot of content that we'll be able to pump out for everyone. But was there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about RLCS, about mythical Rocket League players, about anything in particular?
All good.
All good here.
Okay. Well, with that, we will then wrap up this episode. Thank you all so much for listening. This podcast is proudly brought to you by our name level supporters on Patreon. Right now, that's Alyssa B. Please remember to rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. Share the show. Tell a friend. It all helps us grow our audience and improve the show. Remember to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Twitch, which we're currently live streaming on right now. And come join our Discord. Make sure to support us by checking out our merch store, our Patreon, as this is how we will be funding the show and doing giveaways in the future. All of these links and more can be found on our website at boostoverball.com. And from us here on the show, as always, remember to choose Boost over Ball. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Boost Over Ball podcast. Make sure to check out our website at boostoverball.com.